So are you a vegan?
No. No.
It doesn't appeal to me.
I love to eat any food. I love to eat chicken, beef, lamb.
For me, veganism is far more than the food that you eat. It's a way of life, there's principles, there's lots of different aspects to being vegan.
Honest opinion, I love meat.
A millennial trend or the key to a hopeful future? Ask anyone around you and they all have an opinion, but do they know the facts?
And then I said, oh, it's vegan. And he was like, oh, disgusting.
Within small communities like this one, sustainability is a top priority. And I want to find out, could veganism turn from a cultural phenomenon to a way of life? In the last decade, veganism has risen by 360%, and in the pandemic alone, 1.6 million Britons have swapped Sunday roasts for nut roasts. So are you a vegan?
No, I'm not a vegan. I'm a fish-eating vegetarian. I don't know if such a thing exists. Pescatarian, yeah. So no, I'm not a vegan, but I do eat a lot of plant-based foods. I think it's a very healthy way of living. It can be a very healthy way of living. I like the fact that it's very environmentally friendly because you lose energy at each of the levels that are in the food chain. So it's best for the planet to be vegan if you can. I think when you're busy and you've got a busy life, it's quite difficult really to do enough planning to make sure that you're getting the nutrients you require.
I guess it's just something that I've not really thought about, and growing up in like a meat eating family as well, it just never really came to my head.
Are you a vegan?
No, I don't know, because I'm Asian and in the Asian households we eat a lot of meat.
I do love people being vegan because they don't want to eat any animals. That they won't because they're killing animals. They're killing animals, which is not good.
I do like certain dairy products, so and it's not that I've not tried going vegan, but I think there is quite a lot of limitations to your diet.
I have nothing against people being vegan, but I just think it shouldn't impact me. Like at Greg's, when they made the sausage, bean and cheese melts go vegan, got rid of the normal ones. I think we should still have the option to eat the normal one.
Yeah. Have you tried the vegan options?
Yeah, I don't think it's as nice. Sausages have a weird texture.
I find it too difficult to not eat dairy. I really enjoy eating yoghurt and ice cream and butter. I have tried to be vegan because I do think the dairy industry is cruel, but I found it really difficult, and I try and buy organic, free range, cruelty-free stuff whenever I can.
I'm vegetarian, but I more for health reasons, so I choose to eat dairy products. So I found that I was vegan for a little while, but I just found it really difficult to kind of fulfil my diet really. I think it's great if it works for you. I think, you know, helping everything, but I personally
I've got friends who are vegans, so I think it is a good idea, definitely. I know it's got lots of health benefits, cancer and stuff like that, and then it is better for our society as a general, like seeing animals as well.
I think it's everyone's right to their choice, and I think if you actually maybe go back to when we used to be hunter-gatherers, we probably had more of a vegan diet then.
Love it. I think it's good. The more vegans, the more money I make. I have a dessert shop which is vegan. We sell vegan products like vegan waffles, vegan milkshakes, vegan ice cream, all of it. I think it tastes better than the normal ones.
I think it's really good. I think it's really good for the planet, and I think it's really good for animals as well. I really support it. I wish I'd just got a bit more strength of character to fully do it.
I do think if you're adopting a vegan lifestyle that you need to kind of really think about what you're eating and making sure you're getting plenty of essential amino acids and the nutrients that you need to keep you healthy. I'm a bit concerned about the rise of junk food in vegan food, in processed food, because a lot of the so-called plant-based healthy foods are actually quite high in some unhealthy aspects of diet, like sugars and salts and so on. So I think it's staying away from processed food really is a healthy way to live. I don't particularly personally object to eating animals, but I do think we should be treating them humanely. We use people, you know, we use people. I know we don't eat people, but we do use them, and I think as long as they are humanely treated and killed in their lifestyle, then I don't really object to that. But I personally choose not to eat animals other than fish.
Every time I go to college, I always take a vegetarian or vegan option because the food is not halal anyway.
I would buy vegan products. There's quite a lot of products on the market now. Definitely doesn't put me off, but I don't necessarily seek them out.
Have you heard any negative stereotypes about vegans?
Not really.
I don't think I've heard of any, actually. In the media, you know, vegans would be being portrayed as people who only eat rice or beans with a very limited diet.
That you don't get as many health benefits, that you're missing out and stuff like that.
Feminists. I feel like feminists are vegan.
I think people just think they don't eat anything except vegetables, do they?
Have you ever come across anyone that's ever been like that?
No. I'm not a vegan, but I don't eat meat or animal products. It's very difficult with labels, isn't it? I guess I'd say I was plant-based. I eat plant-based diet, but I wear leather shoes. Probably about 5 years ago. I was returning to work after my daughter was 1. I was going back after maternity leave. I was still breastfeeding and I was really tired. I didn't drink coffee at the time. And I started to, you are what you eat, aren't you, I guess, and I started to look into nutrition really, and I started to read a book which made me think a lot about dairy, and I took dairy out of my diet, and I'm a kind of all or nothing person. As I was taking dairy out of my diet, I took everything that was anything that was processed or anything that wasn't freshly made, and so everything just became plant-based. And it was really bizarre because within the first kind of couple of weeks I got such a surge in energy. The thing I love the most about being plant-based is I don't have to worry about anything that I'm putting in my body, you know. And not my whole family are plant-based, so it's really quite tricky. I always have to make many compromises, and sometimes I'm compromising not on what I put in but what I get on my plate. Vegan food, if you kind of look at the contents of vegan food packaged in a supermarket, it's full of a lot of nonsense. But I guess the principles behind veganism is about not using animal products, and therefore there has to be some substitutes that are accessible to manufacturers and are accessible in an affordable cost to people buying those products. So I've always kind of said if I really want a piece of cheese, I'd eat a block of cheese rather than eat a vegan version because of all the nonsense that can be put in a vegan block of cheese. Personally, I think the more media or publicity or anything around veganism, or even if we just think about vegan food and not those principles that align with veganism, I think it's really important because the more options in a restaurant, the more people that kind of consider veganism. I probably have a more interested and a more taste-provoking diet than I ever did before becoming plant-based really. I think it makes you try a little bit harder. I have to say over the last 5 years I've seen so many I used to have to make my own milk 5 years ago, and now if you go into a supermarket it's stocked with 4 or 5 different brands of oat milk, almond milk, you know, coconut milk, and that's only seen an increase over maybe the last 5 years really.
Back in 2018, the plastic-free shop Plentiful opened its doors, becoming the first of its kind in Greater Manchester. They offer a wide range of locally sourced whole foods and veg, along with giving customers the option to fill their own ingredient containers. But compromise is costly, and convenience is often the main reason why families don't go greener. What are some common misconceptions customers have about veganism?
Veganism does have a bad name because a lot of people really kind of shout about it, and then I suppose it's cognitive dissonance, isn't it? Like, you love animals but you still eat them, so you don't want to hear that. And I understand that totally. For years, you know, I still ate meat, but I understood but I didn't want to. Like, I've watched all the vegan documentaries going, so it's hard to hear. So I guess when some people that do choose to be vegan talk about it a lot, naturally people that aren't vegan will feel guilt. But we actually have had examples of that, where usually people have no reason really to say it. So for Black Pudding Festival, we had we gave out samples of berry black pudding, like the vegan one, and we handed out samples, and they went down a store and people were loving it. And we just tried a few times to let someone try it, usually an older man, and then tell him that they were vegan. And the amount of people that almost spat it out, they were so disgusted. But you'd think it would be the opposite way, that you'd be disgusted by pig's blood. It does kind of create a bigger problem by keep talking about veganism so hard to people that don't want to hear it. You know, it's not going to help the situation at all. I think during the pandemic, like in the depths of it, even I found it as well. We used a lot more plastic in store than we ever had done, purely because I think my customers' health mattered to me more at that time than the environment. Things like plastic gloves and like even the tests and just single use anything. We did kind of lose a few of our kind of ethics there, just for kind of hygiene reasons really, and I'm glad we did. I think the interest is still there. People just need a bit more of encouragement just to remember what they stood for before the pandemic. Because yeah, I think priorities, the environment does fall between health, and that's totally understandable. Yeah. I get a lot of kind of much older people in that might live alone, for example, and they might just want, you know, like 50 grams of pearl barley for their stew that night for one. Or I might get, like some of my favourite customers, you know, retired couple will see come in every week without fail because they love just really good quality loose veg that comes like local and fresh. Vegan is quite a strong way of life. Like it is very, I could never be vegan. Like I sell yogurt, for example. Like I could never call myself vegan. Like, I sell it. So no matter what I eat, whether I was completely strict with myself, but personally I think the fact that I sell things that are dairy means I'm not, you know. Shopping in an independent business is usually more expensive. Saying that, not always. So supermarkets are pretty good at ripping people off when they know that it's a niche item. So stuff like seeds or herbs or spices or things that they know you can't find in many places, they will rack up that price so high, and it's not really a true cost at all. So stuff like seeds and things here, you will get cheaper. The joy of shopping plastic free means you can just buy what you need. So depending on what it is, you can often save money that way. So for example, if you had a recipe and you didn't want to get like a full tub of like fenugreek, something that not many people use in every meal, you could just buy a teaspoon and that'd be it. Times have never been harder right now under the government that we're under right now. It is, you know, for so many millions of people it's hard to put food on the table. So would I ever expect anyone to compromise putting good food on the table for the environment? No, not ever. Like if they don't have the money, they don't have the money, and like I would never ever think bad of someone.
Inspired you to bring a shop like this to a small community like Ramsbottom?
So I wanted a shop like this mainly. So I really wanted a plastic free shop. There was nowhere like this anywhere near me. I think there was about 2 in the country. I just thought, why not? Like I know Ramsbottom really well anyway. The culture of Rammy, it just has enough community to get behind a shop that's got a good kind of cause behind it. So yeah, I knew that it'd go down well. I did a lot of research beforehand, really put the work in, and yeah, it went down very well.
Change for the future is being promised, particularly in cities where the government plan to cut carbon emissions by up to 90% by 2050. However, in rural towns, it is up to individuals to make small changes towards a big goal. Do you make any compromises for the environment?
I try to recycle everything that I can. I try to walk and not use my car as much as possible, and I try to minimise dairy as much as possible.
We do actually try not to eat meat during the week, especially if I'm cooking. When I say meat, I actually do mean meat, but we do eat fish. And then just have meat either Saturday or Sunday.
I've got a car, but I don't drive it sometimes. So I know that's stopping the pollution as well. and with water I try and reduce how much I spend in the shower too.
I don't litter, like I recycle and stuff like that, but I don't like make any like food compromises.
Are you willing to pay more on your weekly shop if it means it's more eco-friendly?
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, definitely.
I used to spend a lot more because it wasn't accessible. A lot of the things I had to kind of get online. You know, I ended up doing like an Ocado shop because my local Lidl or Aldi didn't sell the products that I wanted, or they did sell the products, but again with quite a lot of nonsense in. But again, a lot of those things I don't have to do anymore. I can buy a lot of things wholesale as well. There's so many websites out there now with wholesale where you can buy, you know, kind of the grains and the pulses very, very cheap, and they can be delivered. But more and more supermarkets are stocking a much broader and a much wider range of products.
So what do you think towns can do to combat climate change?
Towns? Oh blimey, that's a huge question.
To be honest, I think they should have a better grip on it, and also definitely the supermarkets. I just don't understand the packaging.
I think they can really look at public transport, definitely. I think they could really encourage people to use public transport, maybe subsidise it, bring the prices down, better cycle lanes, and really discourage so many cars. I think that would be a really good thing to do.
I just think keep going with the green, go green, the recycling, you know, not using plastic. I think there's so many things that people can be doing. I think towns need to just be promoting what kind of will work to try and help climate change. I think more campaigns to help educate people, I think.
I really would want to see and encourage more and more you know, providers at restaurants, outlets to serve, even with coffees, having a coffee and a cake in a cafe, just to have a vegan option. And they're so simple and so easy to make. I would like to see more options, definitely.
Lots of things, you know, look at traffic, we can have better transport policies and reduce the amount of traffic on the road by having more integrated and more affordable transport systems. I think that would be a big start. We can make our homes more environmentally friendly in terms of energy conservation. Just a start, you know, I think there are lots of things that can be done.
How concerned are you, would you say, about the environment?
Very. And I don't have children. I think if I did have children, I'd be even more concerned.
I'm quite very concerned. People are not performing bins properly, not performing the bush properly, and people are not pouring the wrong bins. And the cars are quite one of the main issues. People are driving cars every single day.
I'm very concerned about it.
Very. And not really so much for me, but it's in generations to come.
It's very evident that the world's going through a big crisis right now, so I'm very concerned.
There's a lot on the news, isn't there, and it does seem to be a real issue, doesn't it? And it seems to be getting worse.
Hi, my name's Rachel Hill and I made this documentary that you're watching. Veganism is something that has interested me for quite a number of years, especially since it's grown in the media. It's a word that I've always thought is positive. I don't remember a time when veganism just suddenly appeared one day. It's just increased in such a rapid pace. Suddenly everywhere you go now says a vegan option. You know, it was something that when I was younger it felt quite alien to me. Not being able to eat cheese, not being able to eat these, it's all about no's. Now I've educated myself more on the issue. My view of veganism has completely flipped. It's turned from thinking what you can't have to all the positives aspects that come with it, all the things it opens you up to, such as a whole variety of vegetables and pulses that you can work with to create these amazing dishes. It's not all about the food even. The food is the majority of veganism. It's the choice you make every single day. I felt that a lot of the public were making assumptions about veganism without any backing of education and informative, evidence-based knowledge. I felt that the media were just creating an image of veganism as something really negative when actually it should be celebrated. I had heard a lot of negative stereotypes of veganism being thrown around. For example, I remember being at school, someone saying, if you're a vegan then you're basically a rabbit because all you eat is lettuce, when actually that is completely far from the truth. I've had a guilt in me that I need to do more for the environment, and I think a way of combating that is hopefully by educating others, and by challenging these stereotypes is through education, and this is a form of that. Making the documentary, my views definitely changed. I learned that actually it's not that everyone thinks negatively of vegans, it's that they accept it. A lot of people I was talking to were saying it's your choice, it's a personal belief. People felt for someone else to do it, it was great for them, great for the environment, but for them to do it was maybe a step too far, a bit too hard of a challenge. The public have a generally positive affiliation with veganism, but to take it that step further and for them to actually make the choice for themselves, they need to know that it is accessible to all. Veganism is not as scary as it sounds, it's not as scary as it looks. It can be achieved by all. Small steps are what's needed. I think it's up to the public to make these small changes, to act together to do something about this. And I would like to thank you for watching, because by watching this you are actively showing that you do care. So yeah. And have you tried the Greggs vegan sausage roll?
Yeah, I did as well. Yeah, it was quite nice.
I don't like pastry.
Yeah, it's lovely, it's good.
I think I have, yes, I think I have. And also they did a spicy bean pasty as well, and that was really nice.
Hey, give me a stomachache.
Only if I was desperate.